What if someone could tell you exactly what matters most in life? Not a philosopher, not a motivational speaker, not someone who read about life from the outside and formed opinions about it. Someone who sits across from people every single day who are facing the end of theirs. A cancer doctor, one of the best in the world. Someone who has held the hands of thousands of patients in their most honest and unguarded moments. Someone who has heard what people say when all the noise falls away and only the truth is left. What do they regret? What do they wish they had done differently? What do they say they would go back and change if they could? And more importantly, what does all of that teach the rest of us who still have time? That is what this video is about. And I promise you, if you stay until the end, you will not look at your life the same way you did when you pressed play. Let us begin. Most of us spend our lives moving forward without ever really stopping to ask the most important question of all: what actually matters? Not what we think should matter, not what our culture tells us to chase, not what the loudest voices around us say is worth spending your one life on. What actually matters to you, in the deepest and most honest part of who you are. Most people never ask that question seriously until something forces them to. A health scare, a loss, a moment that cracks the ordinary surface of life and lets the real light in. Cancer doctors live in that cracked open space every single day. They work in the room where pretense falls away completely, where status and money and titles and appearances lose all meaning instantly, where human beings are stripped back to what they actually are and what they actually care about. And what comes out of those rooms, the wisdom that patients share in their most honest moments, is some of the most valuable guidance about how to live that exists anywhere in the world. This is not morbid. This is not dark. This is the opposite of both of those things. This is a love letter to the life you are still living, a reminder from people who would give anything to be where you are right now, with time still ahead of them, about what to do with it. Pay attention. This matters. When you spend your career working with people who are seriously ill, something happens to you. Your perspective shifts in ways that are permanent and profound. The things that stress most people out start to look different. The things that most people take for granted start to look like the treasures they actually are. Cancer doctors and the teams around them develop a kind of clarity about life that is difficult to acquire any other way. They see what the end looks like, and in seeing the end clearly, they develop an unusually clear view of the beginning and the middle, of the daily life that most of us are living right now without fully appreciating it. They notice things, patterns in what patients say, themes that come up again and again across thousands of conversations in thousands of rooms over many years. People do not lie at the end. That is one of the things that makes these conversations so valuable. When you are facing your mortality honestly, the social performance falls away. The need to appear a certain way disappears. What is left is the truth. And the truth that comes out of those rooms, gathered across a career of sitting with people in their most honest moments, paints a very clear picture of what a well-lived life looks like. It does not look like what most of us are currently optimizing for. That gap between what we are chasing and what actually matters is the most important thing to understand. And the lessons from those rooms can help us close it while we still have time. The first and most consistent lesson that emerges from the wisdom gathered at the end of life is this: relationships are everything, not career achievements, not financial success, not the size of your home or the status of your title or the number of things you accumulated over a lifetime. The people. Always the people. When patients reflect on what made their life feel meaningful and full, they talk about people. The relationships they invested in, the love they gave and received, the connections that made ordinary days feel like something worth having. And when they talk about regret, they also talk about people, the relationships they neglected, the conversations they kept putting off, the loved ones they meant to spend more time with but never quite got around to. Time with people is not a luxury. It is the point. Think about the last week of your life. How much of it was spent on things that will not matter in 10 years? How much was spent in genuine connection with the people you love most? This lesson from the end of life is simple, but it requires real action. Call the person you have been meaning to call. Show up for the people who matter. Put the phone down when you are with someone you love and actually be with them. The meeting can wait. The scroll can wait. The people in front of you right now are the irreplaceable thing. Treat them accordingly. The second lesson is about time, and it is one that most of us understand intellectually, but have not yet let change how we actually live. Time is the only currency that truly matters, and it is the only one you cannot earn back once it is spent. Money lost can be recovered. Opportunities missed often come around again in different forms, but time spent is gone. Permanently and completely gone. Every hour of every day is a one-time expenditure that you will never see again. People at the end of their lives do not wish they had spent more time working late. They do not wish they had replied to more emails or attended more meetings or been more focused on the next professional milestone. They wish they had been more present in the ordinary moments that they treated as unremarkable while they were living them. The Tuesday evening dinner that felt routine, the Saturday morning that felt like nothing special, the drive to school, the quiet evening at home, the ordinary backdrop of a life that only reveals itself as extraordinary once you can no longer have it. Ordinary time is precious time. Routine is not the enemy of a meaningful life. It is the texture of one. What would change if you treated every ordinary day as the valuable and unrepeatable thing it actually is? Not dramatically, not performatively, just genuinely, with presence and attention and the quiet acknowledgement that this moment, right now, is one of the moments your life is made of. That shift in awareness costs nothing, and it changes everything. The third lesson is one that I think most of us need to hear repeatedly because it goes against so much of how we are wired. Most of what we worry about does not matter. The things that consume our mental energy on a daily basis, the professional anxieties, the social concerns, the small conflicts and comparisons, and perceived slights and status competitions that run like background programs in our minds constantly. Almost none of it matters. People who are facing serious illness have a remarkable ability to identify this instantly and completely. The things that felt urgent and important before the diagnosis become almost comical in their irrelevance afterward. The disagreement with the colleague, the opinion of people who were never really close to you anyway, the accumulation of things that required so much earning and maintaining and upgrading, the appearance of success to people who are too focused on their own lives to really be watching yours. None of it holds up when the real questions arrive. What holds up is much simpler. Am I loved? Did I love well? Did I live according to what I actually valued, or according to what I was afraid people would think of me if I did not? Most of what fills our worry is noise, real, loud, convincing noise. But noise. The discipline of identifying what actually matters and redirecting your energy and attention toward it is one of the most important practices a human being can develop. And the people who figure that out early, who do not wait for a crisis to show them what is real, live with a lightness and a freedom that is genuinely rare. The fourth lesson is about courage, and specifically about the cost of not choosing it. One of the most heartbreaking things that comes out of end-of-life conversations is the weight of unlived life, the paths not taken, the risks not attempted, the authentic version of oneself that was kept quiet and safe and hidden because the fear of judgment or failure or standing out felt too great. People do not arrive at the end of their lives wishing they had taken fewer chances. They arrive wishing they had taken more. The business they thought about starting but never did. The creative work they kept private because they were afraid of how it would be received. The honest conversation they kept postponing. The version of their life that felt true to them but that they never fully stepped into because stepping into it required risking something. Courage is not the absence of fear. Every person who has ever done something meaningful did it afraid. Courage is the decision that something matters enough to do it anyway. What is the thing in your life right now that you know you want but that you are letting fear hold at a distance? The career shift, the relationship repair, the creative pursuit, the honest conversation, the decision to live more aligned with what you actually value, even if it looks different from what people around you expect. Whatever it is, the lesson from those who would go back and choose differently is clear. Choose courage now, while you have the chance. Do not save the real version of your life for a later that may never arrive on the terms you are hoping for. The time is now. It has always been now. The fifth lesson is about gratitude. And I want to be careful here because I know that gratitude has become something of a buzzword, something that gets put on posters and repeated in self-help content until it loses its actual meaning. What I am talking about is something different, something that comes from the raw and unfiltered perspective of people who are genuinely reckoning with the possibility of losing everything. From that vantage point, gratitude is not a practice or a habit or a morning journal exercise. It is an awakening. It is the sudden and total recognition that the life you have been living, the ordinary, imperfect, complicated, unremarkable everyday life, is an extraordinary gift that you did not fully see while you were inside it. The ability to wake up in the morning, the people around you, the food on the table, the body that carries you through your day even when it aches, the problems that are actually just the texture of a life being lived. All of it, every single ordinary part of it. People facing the possible end of their life would give anything for another Tuesday, another argument with their teenager, another commute, another ordinary meal at home, another unremarkable evening watching something forgettable on television with someone they love. You have Tuesdays, you have ordinary evenings, you have all the unremarkable, precious, irreplaceable texture of a life still being lived. That is everything. Let yourself feel that, not once, every day. The wisdom that comes from people who have sat with thousands of patients at the most honest moments of their lives points to the same things again and again across years and cases and individual stories. Love the people in front of you. Be present in the ordinary moments. Stop spending your one life on things that do not hold up under real examination. Choose courage. Practice gratitude not as a concept, but as a way of seeing. These are not new ideas. You have heard versions of them before. We all have. But there is a difference between hearing something and letting it actually change how you live. Between knowing something intellectually and carrying it into the texture of your daily choices. The people in those rooms would want you to make that leap, from knowing to living, from understanding to doing, from the life you are sleepwalking through to the one you would choose if you were choosing fully and honestly, and with the clarity that comes from understanding how temporary and precious this all is. You have time. Right now, today, you have time. That is the extraordinary gift that not everyone gets to keep. Use it for the things that matter, for the people who matter, for the version of yourself that you would be most proud to have been when you look back from the end. That is what really matters in life. It has always been exactly that simple and exactly that difficult. If this video made you stop and think, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs this reminder today. It might be the most important thing you share this week. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what matters most to you? What would you do differently starting today? I want to hear from you. I read every single word. Subscribe and come back, because these are the conversations worth having, and we are just getting started. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving this your time. Go live well. You have everything you need to start right now. See you in the next one.